Welcome to Offset, Larry and the Big Man. That's Jay Caulfield, two-time Stanley Cup champion and Sportsnet hockey analyst. I'm Larry Richert from the Big K Morning Show, and Dave Ricchini is here. Love the one-team media hat, Dave.
Got to represent.
Nice Major League Baseball. That red pops.
A walking billboard today, Larry.
Dave knows how to represent, does he not? He really does.
Speaking of one-team media, we want to thank Brian Hess, who is the mastermind, and Mark Coddington is producing today. And from Odyssey, we've got Michael Spacciapoli and a strategic partnership that I appreciate. He's ultimately my boss.
And also the Rourke Automotive Group. Again, new building in Canonsburg. Make sure you get a peek at it. Dave, we really appreciate that. And also Tom Grealish with Henderson Brothers. Again, thanks for being sponsors and part of our podcast.
So, what a weekend. I mean, no matter which way you go, there was so much going on. And it's kind of interesting. I was downtown Sunday night. I parked at the Fairmont. I was going to meet some guys at the Capitol Grill. My brother-in-law was there with some of the folks from the Dolphins there. Jimmy Cephalo. Remember Jimmy Cephalo?
Yeah.
He's their play-by-play guy. Yeah. And Joe Rose, former tight end, actually caught Dan's first professional touchdown pass way back in the day. So these guys all know each other. Kim Bocamper, who was part of their Killer Bee defense. Yeah. And just to be a fly on the wall and hear those stories. So I'm walking through the lobby of the Fairmont. I see Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, and it was like all over town. People were excited, even though it was so damn cold. But
was looking at Joe Buck, was that like looking in a mirror, Larry? Very similar. Very similar.
Big man, you'll appreciate this. So I forget which game it was. They introduced me as the public address announcer on the TV side. And, you know, you just introduce the performer. And right after that, I went to the press room, men's room, and walked up next to me was Joe Buck. I looked over at him. I go, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
Well, it's really true. Every time you watch, you see him, you see you. So it's good.
He does. His dad was super famous from St. Louis, big baseball guy, really. But he did football, and actually talked to him once years ago. We're in the playoffs. The Pirates, remember those days? Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals, and Bobby Vinton, the Polish crooner from Canonsburg, was singing the national anthem, and he forgot the words. And so Jack Buck goes, well, when you're Polish and living in Pittsburgh, I guess you can change the words to whatever you like. Well, he got so much feedback from people saying, this is an outrage. So the next morning on the air, I called the hotel. I said, I'd like to speak to Jack Buck. They put me through. His wife answers. And I told her who I was, Katie K. Would like to give Jack a chance to, you know, make a statement about it. And I hear in the background, I'm not talking to anybody. His wife says, he'll be right on the phone. She snagged him over, and then he semi-apologized. He goes, look, I know Bobby Vinton. I have nothing against Polish people. So that's my Buck family story.
It's good. No, but truly, Dave, we all know it. I mean, you hear Larry's voice during the Steeler games, but it's seeing the two of you and the voices that you have. It's truly, every time I see him, I go, hey, Larry, that's Larry right there.
And truthfully, with the weather being as cold, I didn't know how many fans would show up.
Oh.
But it must have looked good on TV, you guys tell me, because, you know, they had the color rush, all black, all white for the Dolphins, great contrast.
I like the end zones. I like the end zone when they're
And that was old school back at Three Rivers Stadium. They did that because of the Hall of Honor and kind of, you know, the mystique of the history of the Steelers. So I didn't know how many people would show, but the official attendance was 65,660, which was impressive and it was cold, guys. I mean, we've all been cold, but as a fan sitting there, that was cold weather.
Well, when you're watching the ESPN, pregame, they kept showing the stadium. They kept showing Acrisure, and they show the gray seats up in the end zone, people like climbing up. It was like an hour and a half before. I'm like, can you imagine?
No.
Being up at the very top, like an hour and a half before that game. You got to hand it to them. You got to hand it to all the fans that did that. I think it's outstanding. And it looked cold.
And where we are, we open the windows because they want the feel of the fan ambiance, you know. And it makes a difference. It's good to work like that. But fortunately, it wasn't too windy. I was I was just chilly. I couldn't complain because people were really freezing. That said,
Was your window open?
we had the window open.
It's better like that though. You don't want to.
Yeah,
Even if you're in a suite at the stadium, it's when the windows are closed. It's not the same feel. I wouldn't think.
Turning point.
Yeah.
Steelers put a complete game together, obviously. What was the turning point, Dave?
I'm going to say the third quarter, just the entire third. There were a lot of plays early on that I thought, kind of changed the game. But the fact that Steelers 2 possessions in the third quarter, 2 touchdowns, 16 plays, 148 yards. Dolphins 2 possessions, 6 plays, minus 20 yards. I mean, completely changed the script of the game.
Yeah. I had kind of the same thing. You could have went to Sonny Samuel's interception just because as soon as he picked it off, that into his mind, right, and everything that's going on. But I'm going with that too. I had down the beginning of the second half. It's the first. You take a drive. You can lose a game by having bad drives and giving them good field position. I thought the same thing. I thought the opening drive of the third quarter when they went right down, that was my point too.
The big difference was exactly that because you went into the Bills halftime.
Yeah.
Remember, that was 7-3 and the Steelers led, and you're thinking, okay, you're cautiously optimistic with the Steelers-Dolphins thinking, all right, you held 2 out of 3 points and, a $53 million quarterback. I'm sure the ownership is going, oh, boy, what are we doing here? But to your point, Jay, when they just went down the field and scored, that was momentous.
Because they interviewed McDaniels, they interviewed the coach for Miami right as they're coming out for the third quarter. And he's talking and he's like, it's going to be a tight one. It's going to be the open drive. We need to shut them down early and then we'll get our game going. And it's going to be close. It's going to come down to the wire. And then the Steelers just ran from there, went all over them. But that opening drive was huge.
I do think, stopping Ollie Gordon on 3rd and 1 to set up the field goal end of the second quarter because the Dolphins are the more physical team for the first 25 minutes of the game. They stop them on 3rd down, force a field goal, and then the Steelers go down the field and score a touchdown right before the end of the half. Changes.
Cool. So I'm not going to be I don't want to be the not naysayer. I'm not going to be naysayer or any negative part. But you've got to explain to me, you've got the best running back. I thought every time he ran the ball, chain, right? Mm-hmm. You don't give it to him to get you a yard? They literally, in my opinion, did the Steelers change their, or did they take the ball out of his hand? I thought it was a little bit of, I personally thought, as I agree with you, Dave, I thought the physicality of Miami's defense was outstanding. What the offense did and turned it around on them was phenomenal. Our defense, it was a mix. It was a great effort. But did they take the ball, their coaching staff take the ball out of Chain's hands? Because I thought every time he grabbed the ball was in his hands, you're looking for a break. I mean, he's looking to bust it. When they had 4th and less than a yard, again, I'm going to say the same thing early in the game.
Why would you give it to him?
Why would you not give it? Even if he gets hit, he gets 5 to 6 yards. And then on that 3rd and 1 play, I totally agree with that too. You gave it to the guy who's a rookie, right? Big running back too.
Yeah.
I'm not, but you have a weapon and you took it. If I was a Miami fan, a Dolphin fan, I'd be like, what are you doing? But that's the only negative.
I'm sure there was a lot of that going around.
Sure there was.
They were thinking 4-game win streak. They played teams that were all challenged. But to win 4 games consecutively in the National Football League is something. They had a juice going, and you thought at the beginning, what matchups, Achan has been terrific. They've been averaging as far as defense, but they've been averaging letting other teams, I think it was 13.5 points in that 4-game stretch. Yeah. And then on offense, over 200 yards rushing.
The guy's on. Well, you can see it. That's what I was kind of getting at it. Dave and I talked about it during the week too. Hey, listen, I thought they were real physical. Yeah. They were physical in that first half, and then I think by not being able to stay on the field offensively, the Steelers offense did a great job.
If Herbig doesn't trip him up,
I know.
First possession,
that was a great play.
It's probably a touchdown.
Well, and how about Patrick Queen? He's been battling through some bumps and bruises. He had a great game.
He did. There was a lot of great. I was just making a point, like, what did your identity coming in was your running game, and you ran him and take him out of the lineup. I'm like,
this sounds like a semi big man blitz going.
oh, it is a little. That is a little bit. But
I can't wait to find out what that is next time. All right, let's talk about last week's predictions. Dave, you picked the Finns to win 24-20.
Yeah.
Big man, 27-17. You were pretty close to being spot on. I said 28-17. So
also very good.
Yeah, very good. Right.
That said, Yinzer dog of the week. We have a lot of options for the Steelers.
Oh yeah, I'll throw out a couple. Look, Patrick Queen, I totally agree with. A great game. I mean, especially when he busted through the line and made the play that Dave mentioned too. I also thought Dylan Cook, the lineman,
left tackle.
Yeah,
Montana.
Yeah, great. Yeah, in the Midwest there, Big Sky Country. I thought he was outstanding. Right? Did you? I mean, so we'll get into that a little deeper. But I had him. But I'm going to go with Kenneth Gainwell. I've said this every week. Every week, the guy makes something happen. He's reliable. You can see Aaron Rodgers like trusting in him. I thought his running game, he started to break. I thought Warren helped the running game because it became powered at certain times when Gainwell a couple early carries. But then in the second half, his vision, his cutbacks, and then the long run that he had, that started to beat down. The running game led to a great passing game. So I'm going to go with Gainwell. Outstanding game.
I'm going to go Patrick Queen. 10 tackles, 9 solo, 2 for a loss.
Yep.
I mean, again, it was a physical game in that first half. And then the Dolphins just wore down the second half. Couldn't keep up. The Steelers' defense stayed at that level. I'm going to go Queen.
The Queen is the king and gets the original Yinzer Dogs tailgate.
Wow, I get it, man. That's hard. So I'm in that. I get that side too. He's under 300 pounds, so it's on one order.
Gainwell was, he was terrific. So he's under 300, so he only gets...
The Queen is king. I love that one.
Original Yinzer Dog, Stanley P. Kowalski, Kobasi. Yeah. You've got Babushka Mama Perotas and Yinzer Halushki.
By the way, the girls said it was outstanding. The girls were there to open,
So Jay's wife, Alicia, daughter Chandler came. It was a little crazy. I'm sure they told you, which is what we wanted at the original Yinzer Dogs in Cranberry, 2 doors down from the Milkshake Factory, right across from the Lemieux Center parking lot.
Great spot. Great location.
The fries, I asked Chandler.
Yeah.
She had a few before they, it was a grab and go scenario. But I appreciate them coming. She said they were great.
Yep.
And thank you, big man. So we'll take care of Patrick Queen.
Yep.
He had a great, great game.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. They do a big presentation with the Hemi Award. Honest to God, like, you don't think a guy getting a Yinzer Dog tailgate package would be something even better, Dave? Don't we think that?
I think so.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I was thinking about this driving in too, Jay. When they're delivered, it's really coming from Dan Marino and the original Yinzer Dogs team. Yes, so when Aaron Rodgers get that, or any of the players, it'll mean a little different.
Yeah, a little more. Yeah, until they start to understand.
Hopefully they'll be like,
offset podcast.
What the hell is this?
Well, they look. I agree. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to digress there.
All right, around the National Football League, big changes over the weekend.
Wow. You want on your side? What side do you want to take?
Go for it.
But look, I'll go with. I'll take the. I'll start with the AFC side. First of all, the Phillip Rivers is the story of the whole NFL. And when Aaron Rodgers sees that a guy come out at 44, I mean, there's no more like talking about a 42-year-old guy playing a game who throws the ball like a rock. I mean, to me, some of the throws he made, but Phillip Rivers, outstanding. And he's not, I guarantee you, he's not going to walk on that field if he didn't think he could perform, right? There's no way. Because if you talk to Dan, and you have, and we have, that's a tough thing because you're getting chased down by guys who are angry by the time they arrive at the quarterback. So I think that's a great story. They could have pulled it out, almost did. But I'm going to go with Phillip Rivers. I think it's phenomenal. The Bills do what they need to do. They take care of business being down early and shut down New England. And I think the KC, we can't get away from the injury. I mean, that is a tough, you don't want to see anybody go down, but the one side of the story is KC being done for the first time in 11 years, is it?
Yeah, I heard Joe Starkey say on The Fan here in Pittsburgh, ding dong, the witch is dead. Since Mahomes and the Chiefs are out. First time in 11 years.
Like mid-December.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So, hey, that was the stories on the AFC side for me on top of our Steeler talk. And the Ravens, I thought the Ravens had I was kind of shocked at that game a little bit, how Cincinnati had no pushback whatsoever, but Baltimore kind of keeping themselves right there, right? With still a game to play here.
Annoyingly so, yeah.
Yeah, it is annoying. So that's so true, Larry.
Real quick before you take Dave, I was with Dan Marino at lunch, and we were walking out. This is game day, Monday, and somebody goes, "Hey, Dan, what do you think of Phillip Rivers coming back?" And I said, well, surprise, Dan is the emergency quarterback for the Dolphins. I mean, why not?
It would have
Right?
been better than Tua.
Why not is right.
AFC, also NFC related. Denver, big win at home against the Packers. Micah Parsons hurt. So what's that going to do to the Packers now?
He's done.
He's done for the year. ACL, same as Mahomes. I thought
They're dominant.
interesting to watch the NFC South now with Tampa and Carolina both losing last weekend. They play each other twice in the last 3 weeks, basically decide that division. And as you mentioned, the Seahawks did just enough. Phillip Rivers, he looked not great, but like even some of his incompletions, they were catchable balls. Like he played a lot. I thought the Seahawks would blitz him, but he was rarely sacked, rarely hit, played well. And then the Rams, convincing win over the Lions, even though they're down early.
All right. Well, I feel the same way about all the same things. I think the teams with the injuries literally has basically eliminated. Green Bay just fell down the ladder. So that's a tough injury for them. So
They got to face Baltimore. I'm kind of hoping they get their,
yeah, I know.
juju back for that game against the Ravens. All right. Next up, blindside.
Dave,
I'm going to go back to the Bills-Patriots game. And what I didn't like was the very first possession of the game, the Patriots throw a ball 3rd and 7, and it's caught by Kayshon Boutte along the sidelines. The Patriots hurry up to the line of scrimmage to run a play before the Bills could challenge or before replay assists could get involved. And they showed replays. He was either out of bounds or dropped it, or both. So, and then they end up scoring a touchdown. Fast forward to Bills' first possession, first play, Josh Allen throws it deep to Brandon Cooks, almost identical along the sideline. Again, was it a catch? Was it not? They rush up to the line of scrimmage, but replay assist chimes down and says, no, it's incomplete. So my complaint is not that they got it right, but if the goal is to get the call right, then why allow teams to rush up? Why not chime in right away? And how are you deciding? The Patriots are the home team. How are you deciding when to come down with replay assist and when not to? That's my big gripe with that call.
is that call coming from headquarters, or is that coming from the local? And that makes it look like it's done from replay assist is done from the home team.
Why not do what the ACC does and make it less make it transparent? Show the replay process. What are they doing? I love what the ACC does during football because there are no questions about it. Yeah. Open it up.
All right, mine's going to be my part on this one. You watch the game. It's the Rams in Detroit. It's 24-20 Detroit, and the Rams are going for it, right? And there was a touchdown, a pass to Colby Parkinson, tight end. And without a doubt, his knee is down at the 1.5 yard line. And I didn't even think didn't even look like control, right? So goes to the ground and they give him the touchdown. The replay, they still give him the touchdown. I have no idea, unless there's something that he bobbled. We talked about this possibility. He bobbled it and then regrouped by the time he got in the end zone and had control there. But they didn't say that. They should say that if that was the case. But how you give him the touchdown when you know his knee is down at the 1.5 yard line? That was my one that I had a total problem with. So there. But all week, you could pick every game and look at it and see what the problem is. And it's every game somebody's getting hosed.
That said.
All
right, Dave Ricchini.
Yep.
Big man, we're going to check in with 93.7 The Fans. That's Andrew Filipponi, part of the afternoon team with Chris Muller. They're called the PM team, and all is well in the Steelers Nation after Monday Night Football.
Yeah, you know where it's not well? Down in Miami right now with the way they played and the way Tua looked in that massive contract that he has and all the guaranteed money. And Mike McDaniel, their head coach, had them winners of 4 in a row, and they come in here and lay an egg, as they often do in very, very cold temperatures. So I give a tip of the cap here to Mother Nature for the Steelers being able to pound the Dolphins the way they did in Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Andrew, we were talking about this. We've talked about it in our shows through the week. I looked at the running game. No T.J. Watt. The defense steps up and does what they need to do. But I did have one concern about it. I almost felt like Miami coached themselves right out of. They took the ball out of HN's hands. I felt like, and then the Steelers D just kind of fed off. They took care of business. But you got a quarterback that's not really comfortable playing the game right now. And in my opinion, the main weapon in Achane, they kind of took him. They themselves took him almost out of the game.
Well, they did, and the Steelers did, I think, too, because when the Steelers were able to have that situation where they scored at the end of the first half, then scored at the start of the second half, Miami comes out and punts the ball. Steelers drive and score. At that point, I feel like Miami had to become more one-dimensional because of how many points they trailed by. Now, that's not an excuse for the way they went about things in the first half, because it was 0-0 for 1.5 quarters. It was a stalemate game, and he is their best player. My question with him going into this game was, how does a guy that is mostly, if not entirely, a speed runner, how would he handle the chilly conditions of the game? Plus, he had a rib injury. And I wonder, too, if maybe they had him on a little bit of a pitch count because he was less than 100%. But my feeling on that is there's no tomorrow. The Dolphins lost that game. They got eliminated from playoff contention. So got all offseason to heal. I think they should have leaned into that. I thought they were very conservative on fourth downs. They had a couple of fourth and shorts. They kicked a field goal and won. They punted on 4th and 1, which shocked me given how well they've run the ball and how poorly the Steelers have defended the run. Conversely, Mike Tomlin, who's usually, historically, the most conservative coach on 4th down in the entire NFL, went for a 4th down inside his own 30. They converted it. And then on that touchdown drive to go up 7-3, they had 2 4th downs and they picked up both.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I was going to add too, and I agree with that part of it. I was just going to say the 1 3rd and 1 play, for example, and you don't give it to a guy like, I'm thrilled they didn't, by the way, because we want on the Steelers side of it, but 3rd and 1 and you give it to a rookie back who's a big back, but Achane, unless he was banged up, but he was in the game late. I have no idea what was going on with that. And that's more my point about you took the ball out of your one guy's hand, your dimensions, the dynamic of their game coming in was the run game. And I thought they handed it over. That was more my point.
No doubt. I mean, they, to me, were not built really or didn't really aspire to be a physical running team in this game. They brought Gordon in for that 3rd down. He's their 3rd string running back. Their 2nd stringer, Wright, who's more of a power back, had over 100 yards last week against the Jets. The whole way that the Dolphins approached this game after the opening drive, I thought left a lot to be desired and speaks to the great lengths as to why that franchise has been so dormant for now 25 years. Their last playoff win happened in 2000. We complained, and rightfully so, about 8 years without one. They last won a playoff game in the year 2000. It's the longest drought in the entire NFL. And they have been, I think, the team that expects to lose these games. Their fans expect them to lose these games when there's something important on the line. And I thought, honestly, the Dolphins did just as much to lose the game as the Steelers did to win it last night.
And their owner, Stephen Ross, who's worth $22 billion or north of that, has obviously been willing to put up big money. I mean, to his contract, to your point, I think it's $53 million they're paying for him for this year. They're certainly not getting an ROI on that money. So the coach is kind of quirky. He's a Harvard guy. He's very intelligent, but quirky as heck. But you're right. They haven't sniffed a playoff win in a quarter of a century. So it was a good win. Tomlin's never lost on Monday Night Football at home. The Fish don't play well in cold weather. It was a good one, although going in without T.J. Watt, as you know, that was the talk of the week, the situation with T.J. Watt. But the Steelers prior to the game were only 1-11 without him in the lineup. So did that surprise you they were able to step up?
Not really, because they've got better depth at that position than they ever have had with him on the team going back to his rookie year, 2017. You've got Alex Highsmith, who's a highly paid player in his own right, was coming off the best game of his season against Baltimore. They locked that game up with the sack at the end of the game on Lamar Jackson. Nick Herbig's as good of a backup player at any position in the NFL. Someone's going to pay him to be a starting edge rusher if the Steelers don't. We saw that from the opening drive after the Dolphins started to move the ball when they picked or receive. They wanted the ball to start the game. They were moving it into Steelers territory, and Herbig made 2 straight plays. Jack Sawyer played more than Herbig in this game and held up against the run. And I thought he did a good job as a guy that was thrust into a larger role. So that's why I really wasn't concerned. I think that TJ Watt also is having, and he would have to admit this, I think the worst year of his career. He's still a very good player, but he's not played like an elite player this year. So I don't think the loss is quite as significant as it has been in years past. So I actually think they can play without him. This defense has really underachieved all year. And I don't think they're one-man dependent. I don't think that Watt is really the straw that stirs the drink for them defensively as much as it used to be. And I was not stunned that they were able to put forth this defensive effort without Watt in the lineup last night.
Yeah, let's with that. Let's flip to the offense for 1 second. I know both Aaron Rodgers and I thought the running game teed up the passing game right as you move on, which is for everybody, right? But it did. I thought Kenneth Gainwell again, Andrew. It's not like the numbers aren't off the charts, but he was dominating with what he had to do. His runs, his cutbacks, his vision last night started to open up the game. I've said this and I've talked about it before. What a bargain this guy is right now for the Steelers, and what a great pickup.
Yeah, he's making, I think, over $1 million, and that's it, not even 2. He was brought here to be a third down change pace back, and he is, I think, ascended to be their number 1 running back. And that's what happens at the running back position a lot. I mean, Willie Parker won 2 Super Bowls here. He was an undrafted player. We see it around the league. For every Jahmyr Gibbs or Christian McCaffrey, you get a guy that's either undrafted or a late-round pick who blossoms into a star player. And I think that Gainwell is another one of these kind of diamonds in the rough. He was just blocked by Saquon Barkley in Philly. And now he's getting a chance to be an every down player. And it makes sense because there isn't really anything he does poorly. He catches the ball out of the backfield, picks up blitzers well, he runs good routes. He has make you miss stuff. He can be more of a physical runner, even though he's not a power runner, so to speak. I think he's got an outstanding all-around game. And they would not be in first place without him. That was a shrewd pickup because the other part of this is Caleb Johnson, who they drafted in the 3rd round, is giving them nothing. He played 2 snaps last night. And I think that's the guy that they thought would push Jalen Warren for the starting job. Instead, it's Gainwell. And you hear the way Aaron Rodgers gushes about him. The coaching staff was impressed by him at training camp. The front office loved him because they've got a link to Philadelphia through Andy Weidel. So it was just a perfect storm in a good way to get him here. And he's been really probably their best pickup in the ups. Well, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but 1 and 1A, Aaron Rodgers and Kenneth Gainwell as far as offseason pickups go.
Speaking of pickups, how about the new receivers the Steelers have picked up in Aaron Rodgers' performance Monday night?
Adam Thielen doesn't really catch the ball at all, but he plays a lot. And he had more snaps than Gainwell. He had more snaps than, I think, Darnell Washington last night. I mean, he played a lot. For a guy in his mid-30s who's been here for a week and a half, he got a ton of playing time. And I think it's because he blocks well. He can be a plus in a run game in that respect. And Aaron Rodgers knows where he's going to be. And he's not his first or second or third option on a play. But there is a trust level there that clearly did not exist with Roman Wilson, which is unfortunate that those two guys could not get on the same page. And Roman Wilson couldn't do the things in practice and during games that lent itself to Aaron Rodgers believing in him in critical moments in games. So it stinks that it's got to be a 35-year-old who comes in here and fills that void. But I think what it's also done is had a kind of psychological effect on Aaron Rodgers. He looks more confident out there. I think he's gotten a bump and a boost from some of these guys he's friends with being part of the game plan now. And we'll see really how much that matters when we get into the most important games of the season in January. But right now, I think the quarterback's in a very good headspace. And just a couple of weeks ago against Buffalo, for example, he looked like a guy who was ready to retire on the field that night. Now he looks like he's been re-energized and revitalized by those wide receiver pickups.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on the offensive side of the ball one more time here too, Andrew. I'm just going to go to the offensive line. Last night, Dylan Cook, again, I believe that was his first start. I think his first start in the game, right? Now, my point about him is he came in there. I didn't know. I mean, it reminds me of when, this is going back in the Green Bay years, Chad Clifton was the left tackle for Green Bay. He goes down, and Green Bay thinks they're done. They send in David Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari with his first start, and I'm just referencing what that was about. He didn't get blasted from his blind side last night. The guy did a good job, and if they can settle in on something, because if that pocket shrinks anymore, right, Andrew, it's going to go back to what you mentioned about Buffalo. But I thought he did a great job last night up front on the left side.
You know, I'm always a little curious of guys that take the road less traveled. You know, this is somebody that did not play at a big college football school. He's not someone that had a lot of eyeballs on him throughout things like the draft process, let's say. I mean, they'll go anywhere to find players. Kyle Duggar went to Lenore Ryan, for example. You know, I mean, these guys, everyone scouted. The Bucks had a guy who went to Hobart, Pierre McGuire's old stomping grounds. Jay was their guard. He was a very good guard on those Brady teams. So, you know, they do find you. This is the guy that did not have a big pedigree out of college, and because he didn't go to an Alabama or Ohio State, had to hang out on practice squads. And I do think that that's beneficial for offensive linemen, especially raw guys and young guys, because they get around a program, they practice, they're in training camp, there's more coaching that goes on. And so we see it with quarterbacks sometimes. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers, how long it took for him to get into the lineup, and getting the practice and getting kind of that part of the game down before he played was very beneficial. And I'm not saying that's going to be the case here, but what I am saying is he does not look like a guy who's making his debut in the NFL because he's really not your prototypical rookie. He's been in their system for a long time. Chris Hope was like that too with the Steelers, who was on their practice squad for a while and then got a chance to play when Casey Hampton got hurt and was outstanding. So I'm not going to count this guy out. You know, Roderick Jones is due to make a lot of money on an option. It's going to be around $20 million for them to pick it up. I don't see how they do that, given both how he's played and how expensive that is. And maybe somebody like Dylan Cook gives them a plan B, because Al Villanueva wasn't supposed to be their franchise left tackle. He was a wide receiver tight end at Army. And Mike Munchak had to groom him and mold him into a left tackle. And maybe we're seeing some of that happen right now with Dylan Cook. I would say one game down, he passed that first test impressively.
All right, finally on the road in Detroit. Don't have to worry about the weather. How do you see the Steelers matching up against the Lions, who are desperate for a win?
I mean, it's a very winnable game because Detroit has their own issues defensively right now in terms of injuries at corner. I mean, there's a chance at safety, Larry, you'll like this. There's a chance their starting safety tandem against the Steelers are two Pitt guys, Devontae Maddox having to move from corner, and Eric Hallett, who was the MVP of the ACC championship game that year when they beat Wake Forest and went to the Peach Bowl. So he's the other guy that's playing there, both backups. Backups at some of the corner spots too. So there's a chance for Aaron Rodgers to exploit those. They play a lot of man-to-man. So DK Metcalf, Adam Thielen, MVS, an opportunity for them to put up points. But I'm not going to say because their defense shut down Tua in the cold that defense is back. This will be the real test for them with Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and the fact that the Lions use all 4 downs. They have a very aggressive, borderline stupid coach when it comes to 4th downs, and he'll look to use all 4 of them on most possessions against the Steelers, especially if he feels like he needs to score points and keep up with Aaron Rodgers.
All right. Well, we always appreciate your input. Check out The PM team on 93.7 The Fan, weekday afternoons 2 to 6, and Pony's national footprint, which has been significant over the years. Congratulations on all your success.
You too, guys. Good job with Dave Marino. That was really good. I love that.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Always appreciate Andrew's input. That said, looking forward to a big weekend in sports. Big man, you'll be working a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot going on, Larry. So it never ends, right? It's a great time of year. A lot happening with us. So good to be a part of it.
So join us next time. We first want to thank One Team Media, Brian Hess and Mark Connington, who's producing this episode. Thank you, Mark. And from Odyssey, Pittsburgh, Michael Spacciapoli.
And also Dave Rourke and the Rourke Automotive Group. Thanks for being a part of it. We said they have a new building out in Canonsburg. Take a look. They're phenomenal from beginning to end with your service and what they do for you. And also Tom Grealish and Henderson Brothers as well. And Larry, a little extra about them.
Yeah, Henderson Brothers, they're an insurance company, but so much more than that. They go back to 1893, and they really know what they're doing. They're Pittsburgh-based, so feel free to reach out. Check them out at hendersonbrothers.com. Have a great weekend. That's Offset with Larry and the Big Man, and that's a wrap.